So, ladies and gentlemen, fanboys and girls, nerds, weeds, and otaku, welcome back and welcome home.
Well, hello there, Applebites. This is your Applebite Written Writ Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ, a show where you and I and you get creative, have fun, and geek out. Folks, of course, our beautiful mic is from Wham Stand, and you guys want some beautiful Wham Stand swag because they make things look so much better. You have to get it, especially because the Whamblems just come off, and you can replace whatever Whamblem you need, and they make them custom made, so you want these guys. So check out Wham Stand, and it's so funny because this thing is just something where you put the wireless mic into, and then you have a beautiful looking regular mic.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I love Wham Stand. All right, guys, it is EmCon this weekend, and a lot of fun is going to be had. You guys are ready to rock, or are you guys still nervous?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to get this to started and rock and roll and go anime up. I can always smell the cosplay here.
And it's funny because a lot of guys, there's a lot of cosplayers that go to your EmCon.
Oh yeah, indeed. I've been getting a lot of messages and emails and just talking about the cosplay. I even put I put a toll on the page and asked, like, what are you looking forward to this year? It's cosplay, panels, artist alley, video gaming, and of course cosplay is right there on the top there. And it's funny, when we first started doing EmCon back in 2011, we had like very little participation in EmCon, cosplayers, like 3, which we only had enough for 3 prizes anyway, so it worked out for the best. So now it's like, the second year and ongoing from there, it just exploded when I guess people started hearing like, yo, these libraries giving out prizes. All you gotta do is throw your kid in there and dress them up. So they just start rushing to the library and whatnot, and it's just being exploded. It's funny. I just got a phone call not too long ago at the office. Somebody wants to use our community room just for a certain amount of time so they can rehearse their skit. So
Ooh.
Someone out there is taking this so seriously that they want to take time and rehearse and then make sure that they become number 1 for our skit competition during our cosplay contest. It's getting that serious that people actually looking at this as like some real serious competition. So I think, this year may be the best year ever, especially when it comes to skits and costumes. Only time can tell.
That is serious. If you're renting out the freaking auditorium so you can do that.
That's great.
That's the first I heard. I was like speechless. But go ahead.
That means anybody can rent out the auditorium?
No, not really. That was the first time ever that someone asked for something like that. But I can't. It depends on the situation.
That's what I figured.
I can't say. I'm not gonna say anyone could just come in and say, "Oh, can I use the auditorium? I want to do a photo shoot." No, we don't want to do that. No, we're not doing that at the library. No. No. But it's funny thing. It made me start to think maybe for next year, maybe I'll set some time for the community room. Hey, what's up, Andrew? set everybody to some time. Maybe they could do a rehearsal before the cosplay. I mean, we used to do that a few years back, and we stopped doing that. But we'll see how things work out for this year. I think it's gonna be a great show.
Andrew's like all fanboying over there with all his friends on.
I feel special. I got a shout out.
You don't know Andrew? That's the map creator. You want a good creations of
dude, his maps are fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's also the guy who helps out every con.
Oh yeah, I remember him from previous Eternal Cons and Winter Cons. Yes,
he is the forever volunteer. I think it's funny because I've been at a con with him, and they'll come up to him and go, "Can you work?" And they'll give him his ticket, his money back for his ticket. And then he starts working the con. Oh my God, Andrew's a great guy. I gotta say, Mark, you've been doing this now. This is what, the third time you've been doing it at EmCon, fourth time altogether with New York Comic Con. Is it getting easier?
Actually, technically, this would be the fifth time because we decided to do it online, a virtual test first.
Yeah.
And then we did the EmCon. Then we did New York Comic Con. EmCon again. And so, yes, I think it's getting easier. I don't know. It feels like it's not getting easier because it's a new thing that comes into place. I mean, we know what to do. It's just, I guess the nerves are still there on how's it going to turn out.
So, Lee, do you think it's getting easier?
Well, I mean, last year I threw in a new element with the piano player. So
that was great. Yeah.
So we're doing that again, live music. So that was pretty cool.
That was a great addition.
Yeah. So we're going to do that again. And then is it getting easier? Well, we had to do a little recasting, unfortunately. Mr. Ralph.
I was supposed to be there. I wanted to be there.
So that part, it's more or less like making sure that everybody is like dedicated to that day, for the most part. That's where that's
a lot of scheduling. And one of the things I've learned in this field and that's what kills you, is that scheduling with all the bits and pieces that have to be at a certain place at a certain time.
Yeah, like we've been like really lucky. The same cast for the most part has been each time. I think we had actually the role that you play keeps on getting switched out. That's the only one.
I was about to say it's just my role.
It's just your role. You're like the drummer or something of like Pearl Jam or something.
You're right. That's exactly what it is. The drummer always leaves.
Right, Spinal Tap. Right, like it's always a new drummer. So so it's just funny. So we've got this year. My son's taking over your role. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys going to record it? Because I want to see what he does.
Yeah, we'll record it, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough because, he started out, he was like, what, how many years ago? It was like 3?
3. Yeah, third year.
Right. So he like...
It doesn't feel like that much.
Right. So he was like 10 years old at the time and he had the little high voice. Now he's like, a man. 3 years later, you got the deep voice a little bit.
You can do my role. That's what.
Well, not as good as you. Definitely not as good as you. And that voice,
I love the character. Mark, I gotta say, I love the character. It lends to, that classic military guy. Why don't you tell the people? Let's go with that first. Why don't you tell the people all about your book and all the stuff? This way they know what we're talking about instead of they're going, what are they talking about?
Actually, let me pull out the plastic. We're talking about this book right here, Designated, a comic book. It's about 2 warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. War finds its way to planet Earth, and as a result, some humans gain abilities. Issue 1 is on sale right now, and issue 2 is in pre-order. This story was written, now it's 33 years ago. The artwork was done about 20 years ago, penciled, inked, fully penciled, beginning, middle, and 110 pages. I wrote the story way back when, trying to get into the comic book world. And we got Peter Palmiotti, who's Jimmy's brother, to do the inks. And just hell or high water, and we managed to get it published. It took about 30 years to do. And so now we got issue 1 finally out. I got to get the other 4 issues done so I can finally have all 5 issues of the story out there. The best thing about it, I find, is that the pencils do not look like they're that old.
No, they don't.
And
They really don't.
yeah, so that's the real best thing about it is that it's dated, but since it's kind of retro now, it looks like it wasn't done that long ago. And
Yeah.
there's only a certain couple of pages in the book that you realize it was that old. So now the joke is, oh, it was set in the 90s as opposed to actually written and drawn in the 90s. So yeah, it's as our main characters right there. We decided to try to do some outside of the box thinking to promote the book, which Mr. Lee Kolinsky up there is a well-established filmmaker and a comic book writer in his own right. And he's like, hey, let's make a radio play. I was like, well, that's not going to work. That's a terrible idea. And I was like, you want to do it? Go ahead. And he did it. And it's amazing to see your work translated into a different format. And it's so weird because as we mentioned, we've been doing this now for 3 years. It's going to be our 3rd year performing this as a radio play. And the most interesting thing I find is that there's one scene that our lead actress, my co-host came from radio, Elman Jenny Feldy, she has a massive dialogue dump. And that's like her big scene in the radio play. And I've been listening to the radio play so much. And then when I went back to the book, it's not there. And I was like, I don't remember it not being there. I'm just to now the version that Lee wrote as opposed to the version that I wrote of the scene. So that's kind of weird in a wild way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But it makes sense though, because it's a different animal altogether. You know, in the comic you can't do that kind of dump in the book itself. Well, you can, but it kind of comes off the wrong way.
So
Right.
As it was explained to me, Lee, and backed me up here, when we were trying to figure out how this was going to get done, we realized that in issue 1 alone, there are 27 different speaking roles. And Lee's like, we're nowhere in hell we're going to get 27 different voice actors to do.
Yeah, let's scale it back a little bit, for something like this. I mean, it's cool, but it's a visual medium, the book, right? And so is technically film. But when you're doing it on like in front of a live audience, you got to really make sure everybody's captured and understand which character's speaking. So like, even though we knocked it down from 27 to like, I don't know, 12 or something, like, I don't even remember at this point, but we knocked it down pretty good. And most people have 2 characters that
I was about to say that,
yeah. So it's like 9 actors or something like that. Yeah, so it's about it's less than 8. It's about 12, I think. But it's also like Jen has 1 character. She covers the whole thing. But then we have like a reporter, and then that reporter like will also be the doctor, that kind of thing. So I
think that makes it more fun though, because it's like a classic. It just makes it classic. Sometimes you have one person doing like 5 different voices.
Well, right. That's the other thing. We were trying to get everybody to have their own different voice for each character, and like along the way, that's a difficult thing to do.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're live, unless you're doing this like on, a daily or weekly basis, it's hard to kind of translate your accents, or provide the right accent.
But at the same time, you want the listeners to not get lost with so many of the different characters, even though there's so many. But then you don't want to be like, and them getting confused. So it's like, it's a lot. I remember when I wrote originally the Dark Legend, I had so many characters because I hand wrote it back in like 95, 97, something like that. And then when I went back, and sometimes I still look at my old work and I'm like, man, what was I thinking? I had like 15 characters, never went to school for like writing. But again, you also want to cut it, to scale it back. So when people are trying to visualize what the characters' descriptions, the scenes, everything, that they don't get lost and be like, oh man, this is too confusing. They sit there and enjoy it, but to cut back, I think sometimes you have to, even though you don't want to,
Yeah,
Frank
certainly.
Interesting.
Frank got too excited. Frank
Yeah.
got really excited onto that. I do. On the side note, I also do like I do my own comic books too as well and self publish, and I also do workshop with kids and teens. Learning how to do drawing animate, comic book and comic book writing and manga writing, panels, stuff like that of that leisure. But and I always tell them, like, if this is going to be like your first story and you're an amateur, your best note to do is have as less characters as possible. You can, you don't have to have a background story about the cashier that the protagonist is buying, groceries from and whatnot. You don't need to know that backstory. Just have a protagonist, the antagonist, hero, rival, whatever. Maybe 3 or 4 sub characters for your first story, and then as your story progresses in the second issue and third, whatever case may be, then you can expand your world that you're trying to introduce to the reader with new characters still and new developments and new subplots, excuse me. And then, but always focus on the main plot line, which, that the reader mainly focus on is the protagonist. So you always have to have that kind of notion when it comes to creating a good story and to grasp the reader onto that.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you all because I know we all write here and we do the characters. How do you get that in there? Because I know sometimes you have to have a bunch of characters. How do you make them all sound different? Anybody can start.
What do you mean when you say something different? You're talking about what Mark is doing at EmCon at 1:30 and
Well,
Saturday,
that's easier because now you got a voice doing each different one. But I mean, like, as a writer, how do you make your characters so they're not the same guy, just doing different things?
When it comes to like when you're designing and creating your own protagonist, and then also if you're thinking about your antagonist, the best way is to actually have it like have them the more opposite ways as possible. Like if your protagonist is just wears shirts and cut up jeans, you'll have the rival or antagonist being wear a suit and tie and a jacket. Or if the main character is wearing colorful clothing, you'll have the antagonist wearing more of a darker demeanor, and of course with that personality clash. You can have an arrogant protagonist as well, but then you'll have the antagonist being more of a serious, stern philosophy of type of character. It's always good to have those two opposites, clash into when it comes to creating a story and showing the interest of conflict between the two. Does that make sense? I don't know.
No, it completely makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
That's
sense.
right, yeah.
I think it doesn't. I mean, it depends on what you're writing too. So you could have different writing styles, right? Like the Dark Legend starts out like that. Like there was a Tsunami in 1600, and then I start developing the Master's mother and father. Then they go into that, and the Shogun families, and then going into his background. So it all depends on the story that you feel strongest about writing, right? I honestly, when I wrote the Dark Legend, I wasn't really into Japanese culture. Was not. I just I watched 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, and that's where the Dark Legend came from. And I always tell people that they're like, "How did that come from that?" I'm like, ideas can come from anywhere. So then I did my research, and Google is a very good friend of mine. Got to introduce you one time. Got to be a little, but you do your research, right, and then you could make your stories, your backgrounds, right. How did the master become so evil or whatever, and how you do that, and then you come into a different time period, which you basically jump from the 1600s to current day New York. How does he get from that? All right, then there are these cops, and then there are these families of cops, and then it all depends how you want to do it. Your presentation. I mean, I don't think any of us went to school for writing. It's like we tried to figure it out on our. This sounds like a good idea. We trial and error, right? You try something and you give it to some of your friends or people that hey, what do you think about this? Passing some ideas along. My dad was a poetry writer, and he would never write anything science fiction, fantasy. But I think it's just seeing what works, right? What best fits what you're writing about. I mean, that's, to be honest with you, that's the way I tackled it. I had no clue what I was really doing, and I got some help along the way through an editor and a really good person that has done my edits, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? Not knowing really a lot of people in the business or at all, shall I say. So it was like either rise, or, I hate to say it, like, rise or die kind of thing, like, I can't remember what movie that was from, oh, Bad Boys. Yeah. But you gotta fall before you rise. You're going to make plenty of mistakes, and then you're going to learn from your mistakes, and then you're going to figure out what works for your story, and then that's when you succeed. I hate to say it like that, but I think.
Oh no, that's the truth.
That's
completely the truth. And I feel like that's one of most writers where they fail, is that they think they need to have this perfect first draft, which never exists.
No.
Speak for yourself. I always have a perfect first draft. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about the world that I'm going to build, and really just, if you're good at observing people in general, outside of just in the world, right? Like, that certain people that you're close with have certain actions, and those actions can somewhat be incorporated into your story, right? Like those personalities. So even though like your best friend might not be an alien from, whatever, Krypton or something like that, there's probably some personality you could,
Definitely.
trait that you could put into your character, right? So like I did a couple of movies where it was all, the world was mafia related, right? So like I didn't really know people from that world per se, but you do your research, you think about the people that you kind of like, you maybe act like that kind of style, even though they're not in that style,
Yeah.
and then you start to think like, well, what happens if we go in this direction with that personality and see how it works? And it's trial and error with stuff, but I feel like if you observe enough people throughout and just pay attention on how people act, there's characters everywhere, and you can kind of figure out how to incorporate them into your stories, even though it's not like, I mean, it's almost like Seinfeld, right? Like, you see like the George Costanza character, or is like Larry David, or Kramer's like some other guy that they kind of base
Yeah.
things off of, right? So it's a good way to think about how you can like take glimpses of other people's lives or personality traits and put them into the story. It makes it more realistic. I mean, I've done sci-fi stuff too, and it just, how do I never met an alien before, so this is what I think they
people. You met alien people.
Right, yeah, maybe, yeah. So it's just kind of funny. So you start to just use your imagination and add into like, oh, I remember this scenario one day and that happened, and then just incorporate it into your story somehow and try to say, well, it could happen on this other planet that I'm just going to make up. So here we go.
You never know.
Yeah.
So
Mark?
for me, for the voice, specifically speaking about Designated, I actually started with the idea of what the story could be about. And then I broke it down to who would be the characters in the story. And once I decided who the characters were, then I decided to base them on people that I knew or personalities that I've seen on TV. So it's kind of, once I had the foundation of who they were, I was kind of looked to, who would be the best person to play that role? And then whoever that person was, that was who they became. Then when we got to the art part of it, the artist was like, what do these guys look like? And so then I went back and I started looking at TV shows and like, okay, this character looks like this. That's who this person should be. And I think that's more of an amalgam of who their voice was on the printed side to who their voice became afterwards. So when we were casting or looking for voices for the radio play, I didn't have any vocals in mind. But because I knew of who they were based off of, I had an inkling of, all right, well, this person kind of sounds like this because this is who it's based off this person sounds like that because this is who the person's based off of. And so then when we were doing the auditions, and we were trying different voices, I was like, that doesn't quite sound right. That doesn't quite sound right to what I had in mind. But sometimes the person can do something that was unexpected, and that's how the voice became what it is. I mean, even you, Raphael, did 2 different types of voices for 2 different performances, if you remember.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look, even one of our actresses, Jerry's Irish, right? You got the Irish accent, so we didn't really think that was going to be one of the characters' accents, right? So, but it actually brings like flavor to it, it brings a little extra depth, to give something,
It was like Nathan wants to chime in, and he's like waiting for the train.
Greetings.
Hey, Nate, what's up?
How's it going, Mr. Torres? It's been a while.
Yes, sir.
What's up, Nathan?
Hello. I can barely see some of the other people on this tiny phone that I got here.
I'll make it a little easier for you.
Oh, there we go. Hey, I see Kelly. I see Lee. And Frank.
What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Nat's trying to get home.
Yep, I'm waiting another 12 minutes for the next train.
Yeah, make sure you keep your head on a swivel.
No, that's all right. The rest got that for me.
That's funny.
So I gotta say, Lee, you're not kidding. It changes, and I've seen that on animated shows and stuff where they didn't think the voice was gonna sound a certain way, and then they finally had the voice, and then you can't hear it any other way.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's funny because my son's been watching The Simpsons like every season, and in the last couple of seasons, the voices changed because they got. I mean, even though it's the same characters, but they're getting older, right? And then they just changed the way the sound was on their voices. I guess it's just the strain. And he would be like, "What is this? I don't like this at all anymore." Their voices completely changed, and it's just. You're used to that 20 years of the same Homer Simpson's voice, and then all of a sudden it's a little bit different. Even those little minor things, even though it's the same guy,
Well, the same person doing it for 30-something years.
Yeah,
that happens too, though, because sometimes, like when we first heard the Simpsons, they sounded totally different.
Oh yeah,
100%.
It wasn't until like a while that they figured out what the voices were. It's the same thing Mark was saying. Like when I first did the voice, I did it one way, and the second time I was like, "This is much better," and then that's how I did after that.
Yeah, it's also a year later, So it's.
I completely remember that first voice.
Oh, okay, all right.
To jump on what Lee was saying about one of the actresses we have, Jerry, when she delivered her lines, so there's a character in actually issue 2. When she delivered her lines, I was like, this would be great for that character. But we haven't gotten there yet. So I'm like, if we get to issue 2, she's going to voice the female alien. And she did it in such a way which I would have never thought that it would come out like. And I was like, holy crap, this is really, really good. It's professional work. We have something. That was actually the point when I realized that this radio play might actually work.
That's good. Yeah.
I agree. It's great. I love, especially the cast that you've put together. I love listening to them. I love listening to what they're doing. And the more they do it, which is like I'm saying, the more they do it, the more I feel everybody feels like they've become their character.
Yeah, I think they've all enjoyed it, and they definitely play with it after the fact, or even before they do the show. It just seems like. I know one of our other actors, Patrick and Jerry, they just have a connection. They're always like, calling each other's character names outside of the play, So it's good. I think everybody is just excited to do something different. Usually these people, they're all acting in plays or they're movies, but how often do you get to adapt a comic book and then kind of just perform that out there?
How often do you get to do a radio play? They're not done anymore.
Right, they're not. They're they're totally not. And again, we're adding in, the piano, which is going to be, a sound. We got our own score. I mean, who has a score for their own comic book? That guy over there, Mark. He's got his own.
It's definitely different. It's different.
Yeah. So, Mark, are you going to put out the score? Is that going to be one of the stretch goals?
That's the Lee question.
Oh yeah.
Lee's in charge of everything. I just show up and read the narration.
All right, so I'll give you a better question, Mark.
Yeah.
You talked about it, you hinted at it. So when do you think we'll see issue 2?
As soon as I make enough money to pay for the cover. That's it. It's just like the inks are done.
Actually, I meant more of the
It's
radio
covered.
play for issue 2 because I know
the
the
radio
issue and
play
how
for
it's
issue
going, and I know you finally
That's
got
a Lee
all
question.
of them. Yeah.
That's a Lee question, yes.
Lee's
We
the
have to get
director. This has actually happened a lot. People have asked me questions about casting, and I'm like, "That's a Lee question. He's the director. Go talk to him."
That's funny. Yeah, we got to figure out the next iteration on episode 2. I think we're going to be losing another cast member, so in another couple of months. So it's going to be interesting. We got to figure out, like, how we're going to do the next.
Here's another question then: will you do issue 1 and 2 at the same time, or will you do issue 1 and then do issue 2?
Well, it's kind of funny because I mean, it's a continuation of a story. So like, it's almost like, it could stream right into one another. So it's
True.
kind of hard to say this is like episode issue 1 when you could kind of keep on flowing with the whole thing. So there's got to be a good cutoff and cliffhanger. So it's
one of the things I can see you guys doing is like if you're at a convention, you do part 1 today, or well, it could be one or two ways: part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, or part 1 at a certain time and part 2 at another time. So people come back.
Oh, yeah, that could be it too. And then you'd have to do a preview of
Yeah.
one, a recap of issue 1.
People will be lost. People will be lost when they come in for that second showing.
Yeah,
I can say enough previously on this.
Right, exactly. We'll bring you back and you can go previously and do the whole thing. That would be great. But yeah, we'll have to figure out the next section when we're going to do it again. We also, I know Mark was trying to get us back into Jacob Javits, right, over there at the New York Comic Con.
That was a lot of fun.
I would have to say that was one of the best experiences I've had, as a creative in general.
Because it felt so real. It felt so.
Well,
there.
it's just a thrill, the excitement of having your own panel in one of those large auditoriums that they have, and having a real like sound system, having people, the mixers just doing everything for you. It was great. I wish we had.
Shout out to those guys, the sound guys and the tech guys. They were amazing. Like without them, wouldn't have been able to pull it off.
Yeah, they were unbelievable, and just being able to be like, you guys were on stage, right? Like that was so cool, And I had to change my character out for somebody else, right? Like I had to go and actually
press the button.
Right, I couldn't just.
I gotta press the buttons.
That's right. I had to go press the buttons, and we had a really good cast for that day. I think.
Oh, definitely.
I think on that kind of scale, I'd love to do that again. That was just fun.
Are you guys doing it again at CradleCon? I remember you did the radio play at CradleCon one year, right?
CradleCon?
I think they were thinking about doing it.
Oh, we did.
That's a good idea, though.
The CradleCon, we did a live radio show from the.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. You had the guy who did the combo cover.
Yeah, he was here. Russ Braun.
Oh, okay, I thought you guys did.
The boys, and we
Mark,
had that
you might want
actually
to
on
consider
the high it was at the what do they call it, the screen, the
the planetarium.
Yeah, we had my comic cover on there. That was amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
360.
That was really cool. That should be Justin. That's actually a good idea, but not for this year. Probably for next year.
This year's 2 ways. Wow, CradleCon's like a month away.
Yeah.
Well, if the guy's taking 2 months to put it all together, maybe he needs space. He needs spots to fill. Who knows?
That's Eternal Con. CradleCon is
CradleCon.
Oh, sorry, I get them all confused.
Oh, don't worry about it. There's times where I'm sitting there going, "What con am I supposed to be at?"
It's a lot of cons.
So, Mark, might as well follow up on it then, because I know that you just put up on your Facebook that everything's done for the second issue. So when do you officially launch it to try to do it all over again?
Well, the pre-sales run right now, so you can go on there and pre-order.
Oh, there you go.
But it's just I have to figure out because we didn't do the pre-sales with the cover. So I think that's one of the biggest problems that we had. So now it's just, all right, I got to get the cover done. Then I will relaunch the pre-sales. But like I said, you can still pre-order it now, or you just buy more of the first issue. Therefore, I can get the cover ready, and then I can launch the second issue that way.
It feels to me like sometimes like the people out there don't get it. What we're trying to do, what the indies are trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. The more you help out, the more you'll see of whatever book that you want to see, because nobody's making money. They're just trying to make the next book.
Yeah.
So we need a sellout crowd for this presentation, which is going to be on the 26th at 1:30 p.m. And I've been mentioning everywhere on our social medias, on our radio show page, Came From the Radio, that we are giving away passes to the Long Island Trading Card Game Show as well. We're giving 2 free passes to somebody in attendance. So we'll be getting raffle tickets. So in addition to winning a copy of the comic, issue number 1, seeing the live performance, hearing the music, getting a grand old time, one person can win 2 tickets to the Long Island Trading Card Game Show. I want to thank you to the Long Island Trading Card Game Show for sponsoring us for that as well.
I gotta say, man, they are amazing. They're up and coming. I've been to a couple of their conventions now, and it's amazing that they've come to the Coliseum in such a short time.
They've been around for a lot of years. That's the thing. They've been small, and then they've grown and grown, and then all of a sudden they had an explosion. But they've been around for a couple of years. So it's actually one of those where they say it's an overnight success, but they really weren't. They actually did their due diligence and worked hard and pushed it months and months and months. And a couple of years they've been running around doing a very tiny show. Then it got bigger, and then all of a sudden it went gangbusters.
Yeah, I gotta say, the last time at the hotel, it was like you couldn't walk. I was like, wow. I can see why they wanted to move over to the Coliseum. And of course, you have all these trade cards and you have all these games. The guys from Hit Point are going to be at this show here, and they're going to be doing more of their gaming with their cards. And other guys are going to be there as well doing the same thing. So you guys will want to hit this up. And you actually have some of the voice actors for some of the cartoons going to this too as well, right?
I believe they do. So you want to win free tickets, come down to the EmCon, because that show you have to pay for. But what's the best thing about EmCon, Kelly?
It is free.
Free! And I gotta say, you don't hear that anymore. You don't hear free for a con. Not anymore anyway.
No.
Well, the library is nonprofit, so we're not allowed to charge attendees and things like that. And also it's a public building, so anyone can come in and enjoy the celebration of Anime Fest, EmCon. So we offer oodles of programs and panels, special guests, and also Artist Alley and special programs like what Mark is throwing there, and also having so many other people coming in for performances. We're also going to be having Peace, the Supreme Lord Overlord host that we've been having here at EmCon for many years. Peace will be out there Saturday only. He'll be able to greet everyone and let them know what is the download news of what is going down and what's going on.
Peace does a great job.
Yes, he does. I love his getup too. I gotta find out where he gets those suits.
Dude, man, I look at his suits and I'm like, because I always got the Hawaiian shirts, but now I feel like I need to upgrade every time I see Peace.
Yes, indeed. I need to know where you get those suits for real. But and then we also having the Gata Negra. She's gonna be out there too, also on Saturday only. Meet and greet throughout the day. You get to talk to the performer, hip hop kawaii cat lady, and she will be doing a great performance. Actually sending off from the first day on Saturday on April 26th at 3:45 p.m. And then after that, you get to enjoy more of the Artist Alley, where you get to meet more variety of artists. Check out the goods and vendors and what we'll have in store for you guys. And that's just the bread right there. And I didn't even discuss the meat in between the sandwich. We're gonna yeah. So it's gonna be a lot of crazy programs going on to that day. I remember during the peak of EmCon at the East Mountain Library, it was like gangbusters too, as you were mentioning with Long Island Trade Show, that you were going from like elbow to elbow trying to walk through the
Yeah.
hotel.
Mhm.
The library, during our peak years, there was.
I remember.
Yeah, we actually had to expand and then had to.
Yeah, I remember the whole tent in the back.
Yes, indeed, that's right. So we had to expand out there and put the tent in the back, and then we had special guests out in the browsing area, and then we actually had the stage right smack in the middle of the library, right in front of the circ desk where you check out your books. And then downstairs, we were utilizing every foot and cranny of the whole entire library. We were using the children's, we were using the YA.
I remember that. I remember Mark being on stage doing his interviews live there in front of everybody. Fantastic.
Yes. But now we have a whole new auditorium. We had the whole library redone. We got this nice, gorgeous, long hallway, and then it goes lead right into the community room, which is like an auditorium type area where we have a lot of our great programs, like Mark's program at 1:30, where you get like the radio play for the new comic book. So, and we're going to be having some panels going on downstairs. We're going to have Angel Moon, a cosplayer. She's going to be discussing a cosplay panel about etiquette and tips of trade of a cosplayer in the community of that. That's going to be at 2:00, and then also leading right into 3:00. We're going to be having Kawaii Kiwi cosplay, excuse me, and she's going to be hosting the kids cosplay contest as well onto there, where we're going to pretty much put more. How can I say? We're going to put more target audience onto the 1st and 5th graders and give them their pay of dues to represent and see what they can do for the cosplay, where they can win prizes and show off their costumes at that time. She's going to be hosting it. And we're also at 3:15. We're going to have Rizuki. Everybody loves Rizuki. I had her join. Yes, yeah. I had her join EmCon. I think I feel like it's been close to almost 10 years now. I think I had her as a guest there, and she always has a wonderful following. She has great energy and a good aura, I have to say. And she's going to be doing also a cosplay panel as well at 3:00 downstairs in the makerspace area. And what else is going on here? We're also going to be having so much things going on. We're going to be having crafts for the kids, and we're going to have like a photo booth. Believe it or not, someone actually offered their services to come on Saturday and set up a photo booth where you guys can come in and you can get digital images of yourself at the event for free, emailed to you and whatnot, and you could go in as your best dress, or just as a participant at the library coming in, just you could expand on the memories and hold on to these memories that you have applied for and endured into the EmCon community at the East Meadow Public Library. So that's going to be day 1 on Saturday.
Will there be a scavenger hunt, Kelly?
Oh, yeah. Oh, good question. Good. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have a scavenging hunt. Every year we normally do have a scavenging hunt. I think, since Toriyama has passing last year, we actually had a Dragon Ball scavenging hunt. And before that, we did other scavenging hunts. But yes, to answer your question, Mark, we're going to be having a scavenging hunt. This time we changed the theme. Last year it was Dragon Ball. Before that, it was Pokemon. And this year we're going to do One Piece, Luffy. So we're going to be having you look for the Devil Fruit. So we're going to have like pirate maps, and then you have to go look around and try and find 7 of the Devil Fruits. And once you get to the info booth, and then you give in your right answers, hopefully your answers are all correct, you will get a little prize and also a raffle ticket. And a raffle ticket would also, at the end of the day, pretty much a little bit at the end of Gatura's anime concert at 3:45, we're going to be start figuring out who is the winner of that raffle, and they're gonna get an extra prize just for participating in the raffle with us at EmCon.
EmCon. You picked the perfect name, even though it kind of makes sense because it's East Meadow.
Yeah, but it has a great ring to it. Like,
Yeah.
to draw a really very creative, and you do a lot. Every time I want to do it, I always have I don't know the date. I got to find out the date for next year if you have that, so that way I could actually stay home and not be driving like I'm doing tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that'll be a great con for you. That's like right there in Long Island.
Right. Yeah, it's like every time I always forget, sometimes just in translation, like I'm like, oh, I'll go over here, and I'm like, oh man, I keep on forgetting, but you when I saw you at Pete's Con,
the Indie Art Show, yes,
yeah, and you mentioned that, I'm like, oh man, going to Virginia. So it's gonna take me a few hours to get there, just a few, where it would take me about 35 minutes to get these metal. So
fine.
I'm gonna try to hit that up next year, but it sounds fantastic with what you're doing with the young readers and everybody that's attending, man. It's gonna be a great ball, and I'll definitely be looking out for what you guys are doing this weekend. It looks like an amazing time with great lineups as well.
Well, the thing is that like I mentioned with Mark at this radio show at WGBB, just remind me when I saw the picture on the screen there. It all started like I said back in 2011. I used to run an anime club for teens, and used to be supposed to be a manga club, so we could read mangas and affiliate ourselves with books, because reading is fundamental, of course. Right. But it turned into an anime club, and we end up watching anime and start talking about anime. And the group and anime club just grew. It used to be started with just 2 participants, and then it just flustered into like maybe 20 to 30 teenagers on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m.
Wow, that's
yeah, I mean, I was the only person that ever brought that many teens to the library in the middle of the week. For such not even like it was like something for them where they, up to this day, I still see them every year coming to EmCon, and they still thank me up to this date that that they had a safe space to go to, that they can be themselves and actually be among people with the same interests.
That's awesome. That's
so
awesome hearing that, man. Really.
So it puts a tear to my eye and gets the chest hurting a little bit onto knowing that I give them something that they can walk away with, and then you always be with them, which is great. And I always love to hear the stories of them as they get older down there in college or outside of college, and then they doing other things outside of anime, and they just growing as a great young adult as we speak. So it's awesome. Not only EmCon is a great festival and great celebration and a day of events and weekend celebration, it's also kind of like a family reunion where I can meet and see previous patrons that came in and whatnot, and people I have been part of their lives for, that come in and just update me about what's going on with themselves. So it's always a fabulous thing, and it just makes me feel like they keep going with this kind of event, because they always tell me how appreciative they are to come to something like this, and they, again, just to be themselves and just be in the grass of such an environment that they're more used to and more happy to be contribute to. So I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I'm really happy that something like this and also the East Meadow Public Library gave me this opportunity to expand on this. And shout out to Jude Chanzer, the program director and head, who actually allowed me to expand on this. It wasn't for her, none of this would have been possible. She's retired now. Last year was her last EmCon, but it wasn't for her to allow me to throw these ideas and allow me to place these events and programs and whatnot, and bring in the special guests that I said that will bring in the people in. None of this would would have been workable. We would have been dead in the water. It wasn't for her to giving me the allowance to do some kind of event like this. And then now we have our new program head. Shout out to her as well, Tammy Bianco, who continuing Jude's journey with this EmCon this year, and allowing me once again to expand on this 2-day event. I didn't even say about the schedule for Sunday, and again, it's just going to be just a fabulous show. Again, at 2:00, we're going to be starting off with Yoshi Amayo. I think last time I had him come to EmCon, I think it was back in 2022. It's nice to bring him back. He's going to be bringing his group, Samurai Sword Soul. And as always, it's always an awesome program, an awesome panel. Not only that, that he brings his people in with live swords. Now they're going to be doing a sword demonstration of a play, which they're going to be like clashing swords and metal and just doing all sorts of things. Where it's going to be a very exciting show, good show. And then afterwards, they're going to interact the audience into that, where they're going to do a part 2, where it's going to be called Samurai Boot Camp. A very fabulous, fun show for the kids, and also anyone that want to participate. Even adults can participate in this, where they're going to train them, and then it's going to definitely be like a boot camp, where you're going to be getting you get you energized and raw, ready for the rest of the day of the event moving forward. So it's going to be awesome.
It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I gotta say, the graphic on this, you guys can't see it here, but go to the Facebook page and all things moving and
but that was me. I did all the advertisements. I do all the promos. I do all the designs for the program booklets that we give out. I search and everything. I network all the people, panelists to artists, and that's gonna be taking place. Tell them, send me some blurbs, and I polish it up, and then we have the booklets ready to give out to everyone and whatnot, and get them so they can know what's going on. I didn't even say, I forgot to give another shout out to MT Summit. They're going to be out there sponsoring the video gaming that's going to be going on throughout the whole entire weekend. We're going to have Dragon Ball, Naruto. We're going to have what else? Smash Bros. So much things that's going to be going on through the tournaments throughout the whole weekend as well. So it's going to be insane, and that's also gives we utilize the young adult room for that, and it just gets packed. They just in there and just sweating and they heaving onto the controller. It's just action packed going on there. You know what I mean? So, and then they're going to be giving out prizes for the best to be number one. So yeah, it's just going to be fun. And again, all this is free. It's just insane. And not only with Yoshi Amaya, we're also going to be doing our big cosplay contest. All right. Again, I think we're going to have like always like 50 plus people going to be participating into this. Our judges are, I don't want to be a judge. I cannot be the judge. I will not want to be in their shoes. I know too many of the participants for one thing, so I don't want to be biased.
It's kind of hard, right? Because
you don't want to be biased. Yeah, 100%.
So I just want to give a shout out once again to Rizuki, Angel Moon, and Kawaii Kiwi. They're going to be doing the judging. It's going to be from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Sunday. As soon as we open, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, they're going to be downstairs in the maker space. You should see the lines onto this. When it comes down and when they do the judging, the line is wrapped around the corner. It is insane, and they just excited. A lot are nervous. They don't know what's going on, what's going to happen when I go in that room. They're going to be on the spotlight. They're going in there, in this big room with 3 people behind the table with clipboards, asking questions. They're ready, and then after that, at I believe at 3:30, we're going to go to our next cosplay category, which is the skits. Every participant is going to be getting at least 2 minutes to do a skit. Usually it's a song or a dance or some kind of script writing from an anime, whatever the case may be. very limited because we can't do it all day. It's going to be up to 10 people. 10 spots are going to be available, only 2 minutes. And then we're going to do the judging onto that. And then after all that, then we're going to announce the winners for each category, which will be best in costume, best original costume, and best skit. And then all the prizes is going to be pretty much sponsored from Viz Media, also CradleCon. Thank you, CradleCon. They offered tickets to their show in May 17th and 18th.
Nice.
And also the Will Eisner Foundation. Various artists from the for the Artist Alley donating prizes from their tables, and so much more. It's just like it's a blessing to offer these things for people that could come in and enjoy this celebrating weekend. So it's gonna be awesome.
It's so much like one big family, you know.
It seems that way.
EmCon.
Yeah, I mean, Mark is like a distant cousin that I never knew.
Big cousin Taco.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be fun. So, thank you for putting up the schedule. And I also forgot our celeb guest, Brimstone. He's going to be out there Sunday. He's going to be there Sunday, and he's going to be out there meet and greet, and then he's going to be accompanying me on stage where we're going to co-host together and introduce the cosplayers for the judges for the skits, and then announce the winners and whatnot. And and Brimstone, he's been part of the family as well for I feel like maybe like 5-6 years now, if not longer.
Yeah, you're right.
Wow. With his Grindhouse Radio, he's been with us and whatnot, and he's gonna be there, and it's gonna be awesome. And then once we get, and I need everybody to participate in this event, the more we show the need for something like this, because again, during our peak years, which been like around, I say 2016 to 2018, since we reopened after I think on the 2021, it's been a little bit rocky. We want people to start knowing that we are back and trying to get people back into those doors. I mean, it's been a lot of love for these past few years that we have done it, but I wanted to be very special. This is actually our 15th annual. If you even included the digital online streaming during the era we don't talk about, if you include those, yes, if you include those, this will be our 15th year. So I want this to be big and huge, and then everybody come in, show lots of love, lots of support, and then to show the library that this is something that everybody wants and need in their life. And then once we could do that, we could go on to bigger and better things for the year on after. And then you never know, we might have some special things going on that I might have in store for the next few years. Nice. And but we just have to show that that this is supported by the public and the community, and I need to come in and let the library know that I enjoyed EmCon. This is what we need. Talk to our directors, talk to our board. To say that I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when I was a kid. It's just everything. Just we need to make this one huge.
I gotta say, folks, these are the cons you want to support, because these are, especially when they're free, because you don't get that many free cons. So, folks, just with the free alone, we should all be there. And especially because the library is holding this thing. You want your public institutes to do stuff like this, and they call, you guys go out of your way, because you guys don't just do this. You guys are constantly doing stuff at the library. Oh yeah, because I'm on the feed, and I'm constantly going, oh look, there's that.
It's insane. We're like more of the mid-central of the Nassau County community. So we get, like even earlier today, I was driving into the parking lot, and it was like morning time. And I'm like, why is the parking lot full? I'm like, it's like so many people come to the Eastmill Library, and we have so much things that's going on that it's insane. I never thought of a library being so active when it comes to events, programs, and workshops. Like even earlier today, I just came from the library I work from 1 to 9 on Wednesdays, and we had a reef program where somebody showed these patrons how to create a wreath to put on your front door.
Oh wow!
Things
That's
that you
cool.
get at any art show at Michael's and stuff like that. You just put together
Cool.
and you put like the flower designs and all that. And then right before that week, I was doing we had another program where they were painting ceramics and things like that. And ladies come in and they make this like a girls' night thing, and they come and hang out and do some things there. We have Sunday concerts on a normal where we have like string quartets, jazz. We have like rock music coming through and whatnot, and we just began like a whole new target audience for a lot of these new programs and art shows. Come in, meet the artists, things of that nature. So it's just very, very active. Book discussions can't not include that as well.
Oh yeah, it's a library. I'm hoping you can book discussion. And Mark does his show every first of the month. I mean, yeah, every
second Wednesday of every month.
Wednesday of the month. There you go.
Second
Wednesday.
Oh, second Wednesday.
That's why you don't come, because you're going in the wrong Wednesday. Is that what?
That explains a lot. I show up, nobody's there.
Like, this is terrible.
That's funny.
Every second Wednesday of the month, you guys can go see live Mark Torres and It Came From the Radio doing their thing.
Yes, next month will be our 92nd live show at the library.
Wow.
And we usually bring in some type of independent creator. We've had a wide range of people coming down. We've had voice actors, we've had a comedian, stand-up comedian, we've had a magician, we've had authors, we've had
poets,
yes. We've had so many different people.
We had actors.
And to entice people to come, because once again, it's a free part of the studio audience, we give away stuff. Usually the guest has something to give away, and now we've been giving away tickets to these conventions. We gave away tickets to the CradleCon last month. This month, I think we're going to give away tickets to the Trek Long Island show. We're going to give away tickets to the to the Tropic Con. We're going to give away stuff. So come on down, it's free. And the one thing I want to mention, in addition to our show that we do there once a month, the EmCon, which is once a year, is far more valuable than the price tag, because you can go to a convention and you're paying $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100, and you can get certain things, and you have an expectation that I'm paying this much, this is what I'm going to get. But for a free convention, I'm like, it's just a free convention. But no, this is actually high quality stuff that people would normally pay $30, $40, $50 to go to. So for free, you're getting a $30 to $40 to $50 convention for absolutely nothing, and you can walk away with stuff as well. Enter the cosplay contest, win some tickets, win some prizes. You can come to our play, win some tickets, win a comic, and get the feedback that people don't normally expect for a free thing. I remember when Kelly was first starting out with this convention, I was telling him, make sure people know it's free, because they're like, wow, I can't believe all this stuff. How much is it going to cost me to go to all this stuff? It's free. Go down there for free. Get some good stuff. Now, Kelly, I did want to mention that last year you actually sat and watched the play. I have never had the opportunity to watch it live because I'm performing. And Lee, you were actually working it at New York Comic Con. So what is it watching the play for you, Kelly?
Ooh, good question.
Oh, well, it draws me into this universe that you created. I get to see and hear the characters. It's very interactive, and play wise, obviously, it's an interactive comic book page to page, you get to feel the fear, you get to feel the joy, you get to hear the music and how drama or trauma is offering toward the story as they're moving forward. You can hear like the like what the characters are feeling and the people that's doing the voices for them and whatnot. So seeing it for the first time at EmCon was actually very fascinating. I actually enjoyed myself. I was like, I gotta see it this year because I didn't get to see it the first time he did it. So I'm like, all right, I'm definitely gonna come in. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna check this out and see how this works out. And everybody seemed to enjoy it. Everybody was really into it. And that's why we're doing it for a third time.
Yeah. I gotta say, when the audience is there, it's so much fun, and seeing them get excited for the whole thing is just like you're like, okay, they're actually liking this.
That's the one thing you never know, right? Like, do they like it? Do they not? I don't know.
It's something. It's something new. I mean, it's again, it's like it's like a play. A play on your comic book. Yeah, basically what it is. I mean, next time I guess you're gonna be having the actors dressed up as them, and they gonna go in and out like
that's the Lee question.
So William Shakespeare style.
That calls for a budget, my friend. It calls for a budget. When you talk about characters, when you scale them back, it calls for a budget. If you want to have 27 people walking around,
Now they just go in the back room and it just change real fast and come back out another character.
That's right.
No, but it's a fabulous show, and I do recommend everybody go into it. It's our first show of the first panel show on Saturday at 1:30, and so I really want people to go in there and just take advantage and check it out. And you're giving out free prizes, giving out tickets to a big show that's going on, and in the Coliseum. Yes. That's a no-brainer right there. I'll take a chance to go in there. I'm gonna sit in there and see I get some free tickets. Yeah, right.
There you go.
I want the tickets.
And then you get a copy of your book, and then then they have to wait anxiously for issue number 2. I'm still waiting on it. Oh, I know I could pre-order, right?
Pre-order it. You still gotta wait for it, but you can pre-order.
Yeah, I still gotta wait. Yeah,
just make sure it's not another 30 years, please.
Yeah, folks, you can pre-order it. I put the link in the comment section so you can go pre-order. Can they order? Can they get to issue 2 from here, or is it a specific page?
It's on there as well. You can. Okay. There's a little link in there, but I prefer people to buy the first issue because that exists. They can get it home right now. If you buy it right now, you can get it mailed out to you and have it in your hand. Pre-order is something different. It's just like we're kind of hoping to get enough to get it going, but order the actual issue 1. I prefer. Then
that helps out too, though. 2. Ordering the issue 1 helps you out too because it's still giving you money for the next book. Yeah.
Because the first issue's done, it's out there. Actually, if you look down, we actually sold out of the variant, which is something. It took 2.5 years to do, but we sold out of the variant cover, which is kind of nice. I didn't expect that would ever happen, and we did. So
I'm happy I got my version.
Hey, look at that. This is me not knowing how technology works. I was able to do that.
Well, they have it, folks. This one's sold out already. See, what are you guys waiting for? You don't want the other one to sell out before you get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now all I have left is my personal copy, and then of course I have the.
The graded one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
That has to be a moment when you actually hold this in your hand after so long of thinking about it.
Yeah, it was a dream come true to actually have it happen, which I've always found it funny because we've been doing the radio show. We just celebrated our 23rd year, and the plan of the radio show was to get the book published. So it took way longer than expected, but the plan worked. So at very least, I can say, don't give up on your dreams. Keep on at it. It's going to happen. May not be as quick as you want, but it happened. So while I am a little, I'm concerned about issue 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm more confident now that issue 1 came out.
Exactly.
Finally after all this time, and how close I am to issue 2. I'm right there. And issue 3 is, like I said, issue 3 is already penciled. Peter Palmiotti is working on it as we speak, or at least he should be. Get to work, Peter, if you're watching.
Why are you watching this? Get to work. I gotta say, I'm happy you said that because I feel like a lot of people think it's an easy thing to get the comic book made because they see all these people doing it, but it's not as easy as people think it is. I think sometimes it gets helped because there's other things happening or the person. Or sometimes you're pulling bucks out of your own pocket to make it happen. Because my book is taking me now. I'm 5 years of working on the Hugbert book, and now I can see that we might be at Kickstarter by the end of the year, and that's a long time.
Right.
And that works for you as well, right, Lee? As a filmmaker, that's Like everybody's making movies. Everybody thinks it's super easy to make a movie, right?
Mm-mm.
You know, making the movie is the easy part. Getting it out there is like the hard part, right? Every stage is like it's like a feat of strength, right? So you're just like, let me write it, let me try and figure out how to produce it, raise money for it, and keep on going, right? And it's always, you know, it's a struggle, but it's worth it because it's your work and you want it out there, and you know, even if your audience is 10 people, at least you got what you felt
Yeah.
you needed to get out is out, you know, and you know, it's always worth it when you're out there trying to make your own creations.
I think that's one of the reasons I like the award shows, you know, that we have all over all over the country, where you can actually put them in to see, you know, so other people can check them out.
Yeah, no, it's good. Once you could look, you know, for movies, you know, even if it doesn't get distributed or whatever, you could always, at least these days, just put it anywhere you want, you know, and then be like, hey, it's YouTube, go check it out, or
On
Amazon or
YouTube.
whatever. Right? Yeah, it's there, you know, I made it, you know. So it's always good. And then like, you know, maybe you get a following, you never know, right? That's like the bonus stuff. But I mean, the goal is, at least for me, is to kind of just express the idea and get it out and out of your system. And I've had
So,
many writings like that.
so Lee, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Give them the spiel. Go for it.
Give me the spiel. Yeah, so I'm a writer. Um, this is actually I created this new screenplay contest. This is the second year of doing it. It's short screenplays, so anybody can submit anything 15 pages or under, and basically if you win, you could win $100, and you could also win an interview on Mark's show. It came from the radio.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool stuff. There's a lot of screenplay contests out there. This one, you know, it's on Film Freeway. It's last year we did a live reading of the winner, which I'm still debating on whether we want to do that for this
That's a
one.
pretty good idea. I remember I was gonna try. You called me up to say, "Hey, Rob, can you do it?" Well,
Yeah.
I'm busy.
Right, you were busy, right? Yes, but you know that's the thing. Like, you know, you try, right? So
Oh, definitely.
and you get to kind of hear basically what your words are and what they can, and them come to life. You know, you
Wait,
just want
No,
you.
no. Actually, I did it.
Wait,
I
did you
was
do
there
it?
with you. Yeah,
Oh yeah, so
I
there you
remember.
go.
I just had the flashback.
I have to go
Oh,
back
okay.
to the
See, so
videotape. I have to go back to the videotape. But yeah, no, it's a really fun thing to do. You know, it's most contests they'll give you like a certificate, or if you're lucky, a trophy or something like that. But here's a
yeah,
little extra. Here's a little cash to get you kind of marketing going or whatever. You know, it's not. You know, and maybe like, you know, an interview to kind of get the word out there about your work. And I think that's like valuable. I don't think
that's
people.
completely valuable. Just
Yeah.
if you do the reading again, just the reading alone, because who gets to hear? How many people get to actually like hear their work done? You know,
Yeah.
unless they're actually making it. You know.
Right.
Well, that's
Especially
what you were
from.
saying about the hearing their voice. That's
Hmm.
something that's like you
Yeah.
make something and you can hear somebody else's interpretation of what you put out there.
Yeah,
It's an invaluable prize, I think. So if I'm
I
totally
agree.
biased, I think you should put that in there as well as part of the
And Lee, if you
contest.
want to, you can add you can get a spot in the Bitten Apple as well, and we'll discuss the stuff here too.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. You know, for sure. It's just a fun thing to do. Like, I mean, I feel like short screenplays, I've been very successful kind of like doing them, you know, like writing them. Like I feel like it's also a, an issue where like how do you it's kind of like a comic in a way where you're trying to do something,
Yeah,
you know, like condense your script into like your story idea into something like that's really potent, very um just on point to your
yeah.
story, right? And it becomes an issue where you're like, I'm gonna write a whole contained story in 15 pages or less, and can it be done? It's a challenge, right? It
It's
really is.
challenging. Yeah,
There's a lot of people who don't believe you can do it, you know, and I kind of feel like you can, and I feel, well, I've done it, so I feel like you do walk away
yeah.
not only like feeling like, okay, I'm satisfied with this story, but I see it continuing and I want it more. And that's the goal, right? So even with your books, you just want more at
Yeah.
the end of the day. Like if you have a
Yeah.
good potent story, you're gonna people are going to ask.
I completely agree. I feel like with me, what I do is I write shorts, and there's a bigger story there, but I want to get the little bit out, so that it's there, it's done, it's because the hardest thing, and we were talking about this earlier, the hardest thing is to get it out, to get it done, to get it so you can look at it, so you can see it, so you can see what your mistakes are, so you can see what's good, so you can see what's bad. I know that we make it sound easy sometimes, but no, that's what we always say, that you should get it done, get it out there, because
it's the process of putting it together and just the ideas. And I mean, when I've done Comic Cons or whatever type of con I'm doing, a lot of inspiring authors always say, how do you do it? There's no right or wrong answer, to be honest with you. It's my way is, hey, listen, I listen to music. I could be driving stopped at a red light, be inspired by something. Writers get inspired by anything, comic book writers or whatever you're writing. Can't say that other people don't get inspired by things they see or situations in their life or relationships or whatever. There's so much material around you, whether good or bad, and you could always use that to build content of a character, scenes and whatnot, and then creating your own little dynamic universe, right? But right is right, and it's just getting it done and how you do it. I mean, like I have so many different people I've met from different locations in Jersey or Rhode Island, and once in a while they'll message me, or you're trying to keep track. And they're like, "Oh, how do you go about this?" And I'm like, I said, sometimes you just got to find that quiet place. Like I'm gonna be corny right now and use that Happy Gilmore. Say, Happy Gilmore's got to be happy. You got to find that happy medium of, some people need a quiet place to write. Some people don't. They use music or noise or whatever. You just got to find that place and just get it done. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah, sitting in front of the computer is like the biggest challenge for everybody. Right? I'm going to dedicate my time. I'm going to sit here for I don't know how many hours or minutes, depending on your day and schedule.
I mean, for me, man, I have my computer on, and then I have my phone next to me, and I put iHeartRadio on. That works for me. Like I said, other people, like you just said, Lee, different scenarios. Like there's what, 4 of us on here right now, including myself, 5. And you could ask everyone, and all of us will come up with different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no right or wrong answer by any means necessary. It's just finding whatever path you take, going down the yellow brick road. Yeah, I'm sorry, my jokes are really bad tonight.
Yellow brick road.
You just gotta Kelly's keeping score of my bad jokes.
Okay.
What I wanted to put input on that, what you just said there. I just want to follow suit. I remember doing I was doing a presentation at Sachem Library. They're doing their own type of EmCon there as well, THMCon, and
cool.
Shout out to Sachem. They had me do a think tank 101 with the kids, whatnot, of creating your own story from beginning to end with plot and your own character, and being creative with it, with the kids, whatnot. A young gentleman came to me, and he had to be maybe in his early 20s, and he was really liking the presentation, and he liked that that I wasn't like so critical or basically being very specific to do it this way and not a wrong way. Just do what you like, and then and then I didn't criticize their artwork. Just do it, draw it in your own art style. Just get it out there. Mm-hmm. So but he was telling me that he'd been working on a character as well, trying to work on a story, but he could never just find the time of when to do it. And I told him that, yeah, I get it. You know, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that's going on in life, you know, your job, your family, things of that nature. I can honestly relate when it comes to, like, you know, trying getting your creative juices out and trying to do it while you have all this around you. But you have to have a passion for something like this and move forward with it by basically creating like a habit in a way to dedicate the time for it. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be like a whole day or a full day or half a day. I was telling this young man that, you know, if you could make maybe like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, do 2 hours, do 2 hours, like start after work, have your meal, do what you got to do, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, get down on your computer or your paper, write, or draw. Just dedicate those 2 hours, and then just do it twice a week. You could do once a week, but if you could do it for twice a week, that'd be great. Do that. And then as you move forward onto it, you can see that, like more things are coming to you. It's starting, the wheel gears are turning. If you want to expand to like 3 days to 4 days, you can go ahead and do that. Or better yet, right, exactly. Or if you want to expand from 7 till midnight, it's up to you if you want to do that. I wouldn't recommend it especially if you have work in the morning. but I would say,
That's never stopped me before.
I know. Me either. I mean, look at me. What time is it now? 5 to midnight.
Exactly.
But it's like, you just got to use that time and dedicate it. And once you do it, when you get into this kind of community and you start to sell, don't do this because you want to get that Netflix deal. That's not the main goal, or to make millions and millions of dollars. That'd be great. It's a bonus. But you got to do it out of passion. You got to do it for people that enjoy your stuff, enjoy your work. Knowing, I was telling him, I've been doing conventions for how long now? And some people tell me they still got my poster I drew or whatever character on their wall. And something like that is the most blessed thing ever out there, to know that someone out there that I don't even hardly know, but just see my face, that has something that I created in their on their wall, or a book that I written in their bookshelf and whatnot. It doesn't have to be like 1,000 fans or whatnot. It's just maybe a good 100 that you could say that I have something out there. Exactly. It's the most blessed thing in the world, that especially when you're doing something that you're so passionate for and something that you really enjoy doing. It's the most best thing next to sliced bread. So I always recommend that, dedicate that time. You can take breaks if you get burnt out. My thing is play some video games or hanging out with the kids and whatnot. You know what I mean? That's my thing. But once you get back into it, go back into it. Dedicate that 2 hours time. I'm there getting ready for CradleCon on May 17th, because I'm gonna have a vendor table out there. 90 Day Anime Studios. Remember it, like us and share us and follow us on Instagram. But I'm just saying that, I'm doing like new drawings and artwork and posters and dioramas, and I'm trying to dedicate those 2 hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get some work done, and then I'm going to have some new stuff out there for that day. So that's basically it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's common sense.
It's very truthful, though, too.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
very truthful.
Yeah. Time management, big deal.
That's right.
It's a big thing with us, because especially as creatives, we're constantly doing something, but you have to manage that time.
Right. That's a big part of it. You definitely want to manage the time, but it's just like
finding it.
Yeah. I mean, just for me, I'm creative at work all the time. So actually being creative after being creative is even, doing it for somebody else and then doing it for yourself. It's tough.
Believe me, I get you, because I do the show and I'm constantly on for the show. And then when I'm doing my own stuff, I'm like, okay, come on, relax, concentrate. You can do this.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why I know why it took so long for Mark to do what he did, because you're constantly doing this first, and everything else goes second fiddle.
Indeed. We've been, like I said, we just celebrated our 23rd anniversary. Been on WGBB Long Island Village radio station for most of that time, and it's a system. You know, you had to get the show ready for the coming up week while still putting out the show that just aired every single week like clockwork. We haven't missed episodes. So, Jesus, I'm going to say at least 15, 16 years we haven't missed a single week of putting out shows. And then we were a radio show. We still are a radio show first that became a podcast, because back then there weren't any podcasts. It was just a radio show. And it became a digital thing. So even that transition is work. You know, trying to get on. We're on 45 different podcast places. We're on 2 different terrestrial radio stations. We're on 88.1 FM WRY in Westchester County, which does not have an online aspect. So it's only on the radio over in Westchester County. And then WGBB, we've been doing that for so long. And then trying to get us on online radio stations. We're on 3 online radio stations. That's just hard work, networking over the years, reaching out to people, getting us on 45 different podcast places, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify. If you have a place that you listen to your podcast on, we're on it. And if we're not, let me know and I'll get us on.
We'll get there. You know, you've worked your ass off, and you know, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't. Bit and Apple TV wouldn't be where we are, because you know you helped us out in the beginning. We were like roving reporters for It Came From the Radio. And we're celebrating our 10th anniversary in October.
I saw that.
10 years, folks. 10 years.
Wow.
In October. One of the reasons I wanted to have Mark on, and we'll probably have you on again so we can do a whole special It Came From the Radio 10th anniversary thing.
Well, I made the cut in the beginning of the intro. That was cool. I was like, hey, there I am.
Yeah.
It's funny. Mark is always surprised when he shows up in all our little like promos and trailers, and I'm like, but you're part of the family. And Mark, I know what you're talking about, because I finally got swag for my Hugbert, and it's just like wow, you know, Game of Tunes actually made me one of his blip chips with my character on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually his design for Hugbert as well, and it just takes me aback every time. It's bad enough it's a fidget toy and I have to keep playing with it. When you're looking at it and you're going, "This is my character."
That's funny.
You can sell the merchandise that way. You can advertise it. Yeah, it makes a good fidget. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Dudes, you guys got to check out Game of Tunes, because he has other blip chips as well. You know, and I'm working on a character with him called Seed of the Little Devil, and he made one of these for that too, and that one's selling too.
That's awesome.
I used to work for Blockbuster for 10 years back in the day,
God.
and we used to have this one guy who was an independent filmmaker, and he used to come in because his movie made the cut and was available at Blockbuster, and he was so excited.
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
see his one little movie. He had 2 copies, but he was just so happy that his movie made it to Blockbuster. He took pictures. He was like, "Oh my God, that's my movie." I'm like, "Oh yeah." So
Yeah,
it's
but
just something just to see it.
that.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
amazing.
indie getting into Barnes and Nobles or something would be like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's something that would be like amazing just to get, have the conversation, but, just like all of us, we want to get our word out there, whether it's books or comics or art or whatever, right? That's what we want. We want to gear towards new writings for different fans that don't want, sorry to say, Marvel and DC all the time. They want something fresh, something new, something that hasn't been done, and that's what it is. This is our art. This is our, passion. This is our, what we enjoy to push it out. And when, like Kelly said, someone picking up a piece of art or a book at a con or a comic book or whatever, and it's, oh, I have this on my wall, or hey, I read this. This book was awesome. And then, oh, when's the other one? Because I got that for a while because I only had the 2 Dark Legends. And when
they love to say that.
when I first, because it was 7 years between the second and now the third. So people's like, oh, when's the third one coming out? When's the third? You know? So when you hear that, it's like, oh, great. I'm keeping the reader entertained, you know? And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure the writing fits the style that you created for the fans to see. And then when you kind of switch things up, you're like, oh man, I hope they like this, you know? And then sometimes it's second guessing, but the worst thing I always know is never second guess the creator.
They always second guess the creator.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, should I write this? I'm like, no, just go with it.
We have so many arguments about George Lucas and Star Wars. And I think it's so funny now, just diving into it for like a second, that all these people that hated George Lucas's vision, all of a sudden they're like, we want him back.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But they criticized him so bad, and then they're like, and they took Star Wars down the wrong path, and it's like, oh, maybe he was onto something.
Well, they didn't know how good they had it.
Exactly.
Never getting it again.
You know,
The dark
I
side.
see the last two Star Wars because I was in I think I saw the one with what was his name? The actor Adam.
Series?
Yeah, this
Adam Driver. We're talking about
yeah,
the
thank you.
movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that, and I haven't seen the last two because I got a lot of reviews from my friends, and I'm like, I said I do have to watch it just for myself, just because I don't judge, but I've seen enough online that I'm like, all right, I gotta stop reading it, but it is what it is,
I mean, that's the thing. It's hard. Like they're creating. I mean, wherever they're getting the material from it, they're creating these movies. They're putting all this effort into it, right? And it's like you don't know if it's going to be good. They just hope it is, and they taking stuff that, sure, there's a lot of mistakes you could kind of criticize like throughout, especially the way they used all the older characters and like this in the new stuff, And he's just like, man, but that's the thing. It's also like, is it for our generation in the first place?
Well,
you gotta it's
not wrong.
like a thing.
I agree with you, Lee, but I feel like the thing would have been to like get our characters out of the way, tell their story, and then do something else.
I agree.
Either that, or not even touch our characters and do something.
Well, I think that's how you start with. Well, that's the problem, right? They go with like, say, the whole Avengers stuff, right? The old Marvel, they had a whole plan of people who were dedicated and loved those books, right? And everything. When you go to Star Wars, it's like, it's almost like executives took over, or just like people who didn't really love it. That just, it wasn't the same setup, and apparently, right, you have all these Star Wars books you could reference that were not canon, that could have been canon, like things like that, and they just went.
That's because Disney came in and said, all that stuff you read that you like, not canon.
Right, exactly.
You know what the first mistake was, and I'll tell you it. Well, there's two mistakes, so pardon me. George Lucas sold Star Wars. Second mistake was thinking that they would have honored it by a handshake.
I gotta say that was Lucas's mistake right there.
Well, I know that
they're gonna do this the right way. Then he saw what they did, and he was like,
but in good faith, he believed in them, right? And they got their hands on something they've been trying to get their hands on for years, right? So it's like the evil empire, like everybody calls the Yankees the evil empire, right? And the evil empire got a hold of the good empire. And then basically, now they're making money. Now they're doing this. They probably had this vision way before creating these parks, right? And the hotels and all this other, things that they could create and easily make money off of, right? Where George Lucas wasn't. It was just based on the movies and entertaining, people of all different ages. Star Wars, people go and flock to and whatever, right? So now they add this other dimension of parks and, hotels and whatever else they have down there, right? So they can make more billions and billions off of his original ideas. Now they basically destroyed the films where people are like, this is garbage. You know, you read about it like, oh no, another Star Wars. Oh, how are they going to destroy this one again? You know, and redestroying something that was originally, you know, took them years to kind of write. You know, and
Yeah.
you know, and the people like us that really care about these films, right? You know, same thing with Indiana Jones and some of the other, or Goonies or Karate Kid, or all the films that we grew up on, right? You know, like you don't want to see them make another Goonies or a Back to the Future, because we treasure those.
I think they're
movies.
rebooting the Goonies.
Yeah,
I
I've
heard
been
rumors.
seeing
Did
that. I
they?
don't. Is that legit?
Yeah, they're planning on rebooting the Goonies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna. It's gonna be
But
the
they're talking about
actors.
bringing the original cast
Yeah.
back.
yeah, they're
Is
gonna
that
bring
legit? I wasn't
I'm
too sure.
interested in seeing that because that's not a reimagining. That's just the cast being brought back.
Yeah, and so it's a sequel basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
not a reboot, a sequel.
I wasn't too sure because like
Reboot's the catchy word, though.
it was like
Andrew's like, Frank is right. They took the best juice and poured water.
well, he's not wrong. You know,
Yeah, I mean, you
You know,
can't.
Watery Star Wars mix.
It's hard to recapture that magic for
It
each
is.
of those projects, right? Like,
mhm.
you know, the Goonies was like, I mean, how old were we when we watched that thing, right? And then it
Little
becomes
kids, yeah.
I
And-
wish I was there.
right. Yeah, you kind of wanted to be in, you know, on that treasure.
Yeah.
I think when the
hunt.
Goonies came out, most of us were their age.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and it's
I
like,
was like about 10. I think I was about 10. 10 or
I mean,
11
that's
years
the
old I
thing.
was.
And with so many new mediums out there, it's like everything does get diluted, right? It just becomes like, how do you capture that sort of magic again? It's really, really tough because you're doing it for a new generation and then trying to kind of like help with us, right? Like, and be like, oh, you know, we want you guys to be involved and go and watch the movie because
Yeah.
built on nostalgia, and we know it's not going to be as good, but you know, it brings back those characters you loved at 10 years old. You know,
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is that where the idea comes from. Because if you look at the best example, which I'm going to use, would be the Cobra Kai series.
Mhm.
They had a passion. They had
Yeah.
a love for the source material. They didn't have a lot of money.
No.
And like, let's try it out. Because remember, people may not remember, but it started on YouTube Red,
Yeah.
of all places.
Mhm, yeah.
And they got the organic interest because of the people who had a general passion of it. With Star Wars, which I would think is the worst example, it was all corporate from the beginning. We spent this much money. How are we going to make this much money? And we on our show, we've had many people who have what the corporate mentality is. We spent all this money. We know these people are going to show up. We know the video game fans are going to show up. We know these people who are already fans of whatever exists are going to show up. We don't care about them. We want to get the new people in. And so right there is a marketing idea. And with Star Wars, which was the thing that no other show has ever had the ability to do, they had unlimited money. They had Disney money.
Yeah.
All the characters, the cast was still alive at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so rare to think, what could they have? They had everything.
They had the King's Gold, man.
Exactly.
They could have done
Yeah.
so much with
Yeah,
that,
they
man.
could've.
Oh my god.
They have the golden goose, and they go, let's make dinner.
And they let
Well,
the Golden Goose run.
right.
No. They made dinner with the golden goose.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's true.
Well, that's what I'm saying with the Marvel stuff, the Avengers, right? Even though it's like newer stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
they had a whole plan
Yep.
up until Endgame, and then they kind of, I don't know, squandered it at that
It's
point.
the same thing, though. It's the same thing as Mark's saying. They decided, corporate came in and go, okay, you guys made this, but now we're going to make money. We
Yeah.
don't care about the fans. We don't care about the comic book people. We're going to get the other people in there that we want to get in there. And you can tell, you can feel it in all
It's
the
a
stuff that
different
they
feel.
do.
The word,
And they don't
yeah.
give a shit about the comic book people.
No, because to them, when all of us have agreed that when it comes to the corporate, when corporate takes control, this is just like in just the reality of the world, right? Whether it's businesses or whoever we work for, when the corporate gets a control of things, it kind of takes over, and then the things that you hold close to you and dear to you, like those movies, they find a way of destroying it, and they're like, all right, we don't care about the fans. The fans are still going to come, like you guys have said, as Avengers, people are going to come to those movies, the first, few of
Frank,
the
I think
regular
it's
movies.
funny that they expect us to still go to the movies though. That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you're saying fuck you to me, and then you're like, well, you're gonna come watch the movie anyway. I'm like, no. And then when you don't go and watch the movie, they're like, oh, how dare you not come watch the movie?
Right. They blame the fans. I don't get that whole little logic to say that it's your fault for not coming in to show support
No,
when you're not giving us what we want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a very strong point about it. What show are we on right now?
Writ.
Okay, what does it come down to?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Writing.
Yeah. It completely does. All joking aside, it does go back down to the writing, and I think that's what bothers me because then they'll turn it into something else. You don't want to watch this because you're whatever. You don't want to watch this because of this. You don't want to watch. I'm like, no, write a better story and I'll go watch it.
But that's my point. You could have whatever actors and they're handed a script. They're paid whatever, these millions of dollars. Here's your script. We need you. We get, whatever actress and actors you want to get for these films or can bring back or whatever. You handed them. They're getting paid. They're getting paid $15, $25 million, $30 million, whatever. Your job is to read it no matter how bad or how good it is. Okay. How are you going to turn a bad script into a good piece of product?
That's the point. They don't think it's a bad script.
I know that.
Right.
You don't think it's a bad script.
You cannot fix
in their minds. They're like, oh my God, this is going to make us so much money.
Right. So,
that's the thing.
Me and my wife just finished watching Cobra Kai. We didn't watch it from the beginning, and it was we watched it within maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks, right? Just finished it about right before Easter. We watched it, and I was amazed on how good it was, right? I didn't watch it from the beginning, but one thing as a writer of the Dark Legend, right? What I noticed, that writing was on point. The acting was on. There was nothing bad about that. I couldn't tell you anything that I've watched TV series wise that was like that. There was nothing I found wrong with it. There was nothing to be critical about. There was just nothing. It was, to me, the thing was almost the perfect thing that you could ever sit and watch if you're into that kind of stuff. It was amazing. Like I said, I want to go rewatch it. I mean, you saw the developments of the characters, right? You saw, a lot of them kind of knew each other, but just the interactions. It was everything.
My father-in-law says that show will be over if you just introduce a gun. Show over. No karate. Pop.
Right. I think they took it's a rare example to take the magic of the 80s and kind of turn it into something like relevant today, right? I mean, they took it to that different perspective where in a way you almost don't like the Karate Kid, right? You kind of like Johnny a little bit better. Yeah. At least in my, in this round.
That's how I looked at it. I liked him a lot, different side,
right.
Karate Kid was from, Daniel.
Right. His perspective. And then
now it was from Johnny's perspective.
Yeah. My only issue after a while is just are there karate gangs in this world for everywhere? Everybody's a karate, everybody's from some dojo. What's going on here? But it's just to me, that actually kind of turned into more of a comic book in a way, because everybody did come from a different dojo and there was all these big events and the whole thing. Even though it was good writing, it's fun, but you just get to a point where it's all right, this is just not real. Somewhere in California, it's everybody's just beating everybody up, So, but it was a lot of fun. And I saw that one comment about Tron. I think that's going to be the next one's going to be awesome. So I hope that's going to be.
Aren't they doing a Tron series that's coming up?
They're supposed to make a new Tron sequel, but they've been doing that around for a long time.
I never saw Tron at all.
So the problem with the third Tron movie is that it's owned by Disney, and the reason why it hasn't come out earlier, according to reports, is that Disney has too much stuff. There's
Yeah.
52 weeks in a year, so they had to release 52 new items every year, and it just was too many. They had too much stuff, so they're like, they just pushed it to the back burner. And now there's another drawing for Tron. Like, oh, maybe we can.
There's a trailer
squeeze it
out
in.
right now. There's a trailer for the new one with Jared Leto.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
so,
they finally got around to it because their other IPs aren't doing as well as they would like to.
Yeah.
So
They also
now
built the Disney ride.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The new
Yeah.
Tron Disney ride.
Yeah, so
And
they're prepping for it, I guess.
And that's a
Focus.
corporate decision also. Like, we're going to tie this into all these other things. And if you remember Spaceballs, it's all about merchandising. It's not even about
Yeah.
the
Merchandise.
actual film anymore. So who
Right.
cares if it's going to be good, better, and different? Just build a hype, make people think it's going to be good. All they care about is the initial box office receipts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a second week or third week, they don't care. They only care about that first box office weekend.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a niche one from the 80s also, right? Like that's even
Yeah.
like more cult classic in a way,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like
Tron.
And I hear they
Yeah.
didn't do well when it first came
No,
out,
it
but it just
didn't.
became a cult classic when later on when it came out afterwards.
Yeah.
But my only fear is that, like you said, it's owned by Disney, and my other
Yeah.
fear is that I heard rumors that this story supposed to be of them merging with the real reality world now.
yeah.
So
they're
I'm
coming out.
like,
It's like Matrix stuff.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's gonna be like Matrix Reloaded.
The trailer that Lee's talking about, you see them on a regular street in their
Yep.
motorcycles. Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
I feel I'm gonna be out of it. Like when I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's way too real. I like to be in the universe. When they did the
Yep.
Smurf movie, remember the Smurf movie back in?
Oh yeah.
You took me out and put me in New York. I don't want to be in New York.
I
I want to be in. Yeah, I want to be in it. You know,
Right.
When I was 7 years old, I saw the first Smurf movie in theaters, and it was the best thing next to sliced bread.
Smurfs and a magic flute?
Huh?
The Smurfs
What?
and a magic flute?
Oh, that was the first. I don't remember the title. I was way too young, but I remember seeing it in theaters. I don't know the title of it, but that's when he met the squire and his little brother and whatnot, and they go
Johann
against.
Pee-wee.
Johann and Pee Wee. Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the one.
So what I saw
It's gotta
that,
be.
and but
That's beyond
that's
me.
when But my main objective of the story was mainly is that when I want to see these creatures or whoever it is, I want to be in that universe. I don't want to be in my universe. I don't like this universe. I want to be in the fantasy world.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So it's like so now we're trying. It's going to be verging into the real world now.
Hopefully they
I'm
do it
like-
cool. That's all.
You hit the
Yeah.
point there, though. It bugs me out because then people are like, "Oh, it's not realistic. It's a comic book movie. What the hell? is
Right,
real?"
right.
Like
But still, the story's gonna.
hopefully, keyword. Hopefully they do it right. You
Not
know.
feeling
Hopefully,
confident. Not
I thought the
feeling
second one was pretty good. You know, I thought
I like
second
the music was good. I like the music. Got me into it. I like the bar
Yeah.
scene and all that. Yeah. Always, always the cycles. That was the best part,
Exactly.
right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like when you were watching The Matrix, right? You wanted to be in that world, and then when
Oh,
they
that
got
was
to the
great,
third one, you're like, I don't
First
want to
movie.
deal with this. Yeah, you
And
know?
then one
Right.
afterwards, forget about it.
Right, but that's the point. They had to get out of the Matrix and take you out of that world. That's what's so crazy.
Look at
Right.
that fourth Matrix. That's
Yeah.
a perfect example. The
Yes.
the director, they were going to do it without her, and they put that in the movie that they were going to do it without her. So she did it just because somebody else was going to do it, and she didn't want someone else to do it.
Oh,
It was like
yeah.
very meta. If you watch that movie, like for what it is, she's making a comment on the fact that she had to make that movie, and I don't think she really cared to make that movie, but she made it because she had to, or else somebody else was going to do it, and she didn't want someone to ruin her
A
idol.
work.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of behind the scenes gibble gabble when they were talking about
Always.
that, with the video gaming and all that. They were
Yeah.
talking about all these
Yeah.
characters and all that. It was a lot of that in there. You could feel the heat behind that camera. You
That
could
seems
tell
to
they
be
were
like
pissed
everything
off.
now. It's like a fight for everything. It's a fight for Disney. It's a fight for Star Wars. It's a fight for. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, can you guys just make a movie anymore?
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
you-
good. I'm good with John Wick.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know
That
what?
one was pretty good.
I
I
haven't
gotta
seen the
say,
last one.
I
I heard
liked all the movies.
You're going to see the
Some of them
ballerina?
better than others, but I liked all the movies.
I think so.
You guys see the
when's that come
ballerina
out?
one?
That comes out
Yeah, the
soon.
ballerina
why not?
one. And
Yeah, it
then
looks good.
the TV series,
Yeah.
once again, that they didn't
Oh,
even
that's right.
know that the TV series was made. Like the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
people who made the movie, like, oh, I had no idea.
There's
They
not
made
a
the
lot
TV
of promoting for it. Not a lot of promoting for it.
It
That's
was
the
all
thing.
right.
Yeah, I didn't see much
Yeah.
promoting about it though. I think they
Continental.
were.
Yeah, it
Oh,
didn't last
yeah,
long.
Yeah,
or
the
anything.
Continental.
But speaking back to Star Wars, I just heard that they just had a Star Wars introduction to the new movies in Japan, and one of the ones they were talking about besides the Mandalorian and Grogu, they were talking about the Ryan Gosling movie, the Starfighter, Star Wars
Heard about
Starfighter.
that.
Whatnot. So, but they've been talking a lot about like basically that is they're going to have a male protagonist, and it's going to be brand new. It's going to be a whole different era of Star Wars. It's going to be like not connected to the original timeline of the regular main plot with the Empire, but it's going to be still Jedi's in it. I think Rosalind Gosling is playing a Jedi, and he's training his son. I don't know, something like that I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think I heard something on that too.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it sounds promising, but again, I still can't taste that. I can't get that taste out of my mouth from that last trilogy they did. And Rey still hasn't got her movie yet. And what's going on with that? That's like Lost in the Matrix.
I don't think she's gonna get that for a while, if at all.
They keep talking about it, and they keep acting like it's coming soon, but
But that's the thing. You're talking about like 9 movies. 6 of them were 10, I guess, if you could count like Rogue One or whatever. But if you're like, the
Rogue One was
original,
good.
Yeah, Rogue One was good. But if you talk about out of all those films, like okay, forget the 1980s ones and 90 whatever. But like Rogue One, and then the other 6 were like okay, they were good or okay or whatever you want to.
Even Solo was decent, but I think it
Solo
got kind of lost.
Yeah, but
no, not at all.
I mean, I think Rogue One was probably the best one out of the group.
Rogue One was the best one.
Yeah,
right. Justice for Finn, indeed.
Yeah, I still can't believe they did that to Finn. Because they set it up in the first movie that Finn was important, and then all of a sudden, in the second and third movie.
He wasn't marketable in China. He wasn't marketable in China.
Didn't set up anything because J.J. Abrams had no plan, and he just likes making up crap with no answer. So you can't set up something.
Yeah, he does.
You can't set up something that you don't have a payoff for. You're just making crap up at that point with no end in sight because he wasn't supposed to direct the other 2. He didn't care. He just was making the first one, and he was out. And because of all that drama that happened, the third guy who was supposed to take over, he got kicked out, and they brought back Abrams. And Abrams was like, "Oh crap! Now what do I do?" And that's what you got, which wasn't even a movie. It was a highlight reel. If you look at that, it wasn't even a movie. The last one, it was terrible.
Have you heard that they're gonna make a Darth Maul TV series?
Oh, I heard that.
I heard that they're planning for it, but
it's gonna be animated though. It's gonna be animated, so don't get too excited.
All the crime, all the dark alley stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
And training a new acolytes. You gotta be training a new Sith and whatnot.
I mean, I feel like they did a lot with him with those with the animation, man. I mean, like
his story,
the Clone Wars was awesome.
His story is one of the best ones. I don't think they should mess with it anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the Clone Wars kind of took care of that with Rebels, and like, I feel like those to me were like so well done. Like I was invested in those.
That's why I think that's why I liked Ahsoka so much, was because they continue the storylines from Rebels.
Yeah. Yes.
I wasn't one of those people that was like, oh my god, what is this? I was like, okay, I can see this. These are the Rebel storylines continuing. Because a lot of people really hated Ahsoka, and I didn't understand why. And then it made sense because you have to be a Rebel fan in order to really like Ahsoka.
A lot of people hated it because you got stabbed and then you didn't die by a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that too, right? Yeah.
A lot of people just like that.
Any Star Wars movies that they are going to attempt to put out, I think a lot of people are going to be extremely skeptical of what kind of stuff they're putting on there because they've destroyed 4 or 5 films.
Well, that's the thing I was getting at, right? Yeah, they were destroying your like imagination with that, right? Yeah, your childhood, and is it worth it going back? Especially with like, okay, there's a couple of shows that were pretty good. Mandalorian, of course, stands out, but then
only season 1 and 2, not 3.
Right. Okay, but it stood out, right, a little bit, and then
you notice though, in Mandalorian, they gave the fan what they wanted. And then after they was starting to do well, like here comes corporate going, we know how to make this better.
Right.
Yeah, let's crap on it. I've never watched The Mandalorian, but you take a perfect example. Someone like me, right? Grew up with the Star Wars, born in 76, Star Wars came out in 77, right? So I'm of that generation, and I stopped after the I guess that was what
Sith.
that was 7, right? Star Wars 7. If
Yep.
I'm doing it, I
Yeah.
mentioned Star Wars 7, so I didn't watch anything past there. I didn't watch The Mandalorian. I didn't watch Rogue One. I didn't watch the last 2. So I'm like behind 5 or 6 films at least. But like someone like me, that's like, all right, I see the directions that they were going, wasn't liking, and I'm like, screw Disney. I don't even know if they even owned it at that point. And I saw the trash, like how it was trending, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think you start to right. Like, so I mean, I could see you like getting turned off after the films, and then it's like, okay, do I want to give them another chance? How much money am I giving these guys? Right. And then you
right,
get
but
to a
like,
point,
how
it's
many
like,
more people are like that? And then they, listen, you could say the same thing about Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Like, to me, Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp was above all. That was awesome. Like, I put that up in like Goonies and kind of like Karate Kid territory because I think it was very well done. I think him alone, it could have been
Very entertaining.
crappy script, but he's just an awesome actor.
Because even for that last movie, you came back to see what he was doing.
right.
Well,
right.
I did, but then they constantly trying to get him to come back, and I'm like, yeah, pay him $500 million and have a public apology, because otherwise, if you don't do that, you judge the dude. Warner Brothers did the same exact thing. Disney did it 1 week, 2 weeks later was Warner Brothers, right?
They threw him out. Yeah.
You judged, don't judge before what really happens, and they did opposite what you're supposed to do, right? And everybody's like, oh, he's completely guilty. Again, then the trial happens. Everybody was glued to the TV watching it, right? And then they see what was going on. They're like, and Disney must have been like, oh, fuck.
Right, because their stock goes down in that, right? Like it's like each star is bankable. They all know how much these guys are going to make for the most part when they are in a movie, and when something like that outside of the movie world happens, it's like, oh man, like I don't know if this guy's going to pull in the $2 billion or whatever it is, or for the film. So they just like, all right, let's drop them, and they do it to people all the time. They did it to. Who was it? The Jonathan Majors, right? With the Kang storyline.
They threw it out the window.
Right.
And he wasn't even, again, he was another one of those guys that, oops, my bad.
right. Oops, my bad. Exactly. And they were building a whole story, right? That was a whole Kang storyline for that. And
that wasn't gonna go nowhere.
right. It probably wasn't gonna go anywhere anyway, but they were building it for him,
They were.
And if you think about it, they did it with James Gunn, and because they fired James Gunn, he's now in charge of this DC.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, we just messed up because now they just made their greatest enemy all of a sudden by firing him off. Because if he had never been fired, he would have never went to DC.
No,
that's simple.
At all.
Yeah, but do you really feel confident with that Superman movie? Have you seen the trailers?
It looks good.
I have not seen the trailers,
I
but
thought
I like the Peacemaker. I like the Creature Commandos. Like whatever he's put out was pretty good.
I kind of fell off on Creature Commandos. I kind of fell off on that.
I kind of like that.
I'm gonna give. I mean, I thought the Superman and Lois was the best iteration of Superman I've ever seen, and that's including the Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Like that really ruined it for me. So I have no interest in watching this Superman film. But so far, James Gunn's DC stuff I've enjoyed more than his Marvel stuff. Ironically.
But that Green Lantern.
For me,
that Green Lantern series doesn't look so good. I mean, the way they're advertising it, they're making it be like a detective show where it's like it's just normal dudes that's roaming the side roads or whatever.
You know what it is? I think that they've gone back to the Green Lanterns being space cops.
Oh, yeah, but they're not even wearing the outfit. They're not even wearing the outfit. When I want to see a comic book movie, I want to see the costumes the
It's too
glamour.
comic booky. It's
Yeah.
too
Well,
cartoony.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's what you want to see, right? You want
It's
to see
also
the
hard to
costumes.
keep on rebooting the same story, right? Like that's the other thing. Like how many times do you see Spider-Man, dude? Like he's always doing the same thing. He's always an origin story.
The problem is that's what you're saying right there, Lee. Is that they go back to the we don't need to know the origin.
Right.
If Spider-Man, you don't need the origin. Batman, you don't need the origin. Superman, you don't need the origin.
But the thing is, we don't need the origin. You know, they're not catering to us anymore. You're out of the demographic, my friend.
Both characters are at a point where you don't really need the origin.
Right, there is a point of that, and that's why I think when Spider-Man was in the Avengers stuff, it wasn't like completely origin story. It was
exactly. You're like, oh, we know who Spider-Man is.
Yep. You get to that point.
Also, hard when we grow up with certain people being, how well, Christopher Reeve being Superman, in our eyes too. I think we're kind of biased because we look at him and he played the perfect Superman. Was really good and whatever, and since then it's been hard to kind of capture that magic of those early.
They weren't trying to capture the magic. They like the dark Superman.
Right, they like
I know they go like same thing with, but like my dad was an older generation before he passed, right? He loved Christopher Reeve. He liked Dan Reeves too, doing, he grew up in the Black and White show, Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. Sorry. But
who's Dan Reeves? Did I miss a Reeves?
But and then I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I think a lot of people do. So it just I guess I know I'm biased. I can't help it. I admit it, but I think some people are. They just it could be part of the storytelling.
Yeah, it's also a product of the times, right? Before it was like you want the straight up hero when we were kids, right? Like Superman was a hero. There was no dark Superman. There was no dark Batman.
Yeah.
And then as you grow on, it's like, oh, the anti-hero, Wolverine's everything, right? So it becomes like,
yeah, that's true.
So I think that's the big
that's what bugs me out about the X-Men. It's like, we're going to do a Jean Grey story, but we're going to make Wolverine the star of it. And I'm like, what?
Huh? Right. That's a whole other thing. And they messed that up. Oh man!
Look, it's the son of Saint.
It would be crazy if they do like a Batman movie, but more Adam West style. that would be insane.
Did you guys ever get a chance to see Brave and the Bold?
Yeah,
the cartoon series.
Yeah, the cartoon. On Saturday morning.
It had a Batman Adam West feel to it. All right. We're going to stop geeking out, folks, because it's 2 hours into the show, which means we should have ended ages ago. But you guys got a great geek out. Lee, why don't you start and tell the people where they can find you and all the good stuff?
Just look for me, Lee Kolinsky, on Facebook and Instagram, and you check out the Blue Eye Screenplay website. I think it's just Blue Eye Screenplay Contest. If you Google that, you can find it on Film Freeway. You can go there and just do the search, and you'll be able to find everything there. It's a good contest. I think, like I said, if you have a screenplay, submit it. 15 pages or under.
You have it, folks. Go check it out. And of course, they're going to be at EmCon doing the radio play, and you want to go check that out as well.
Yeah, I was leaving that for Mark.
Mark's going to be busy because Mark's about to say like 10,000 things at the same time. Go, Mark.
We'll say other stuff. You can play Mr. Director. Mr. Director, take it away. What's the play?
The live radio show at EmCon, right? April 26th. What? 1:30. Come on down. Mark's creation. We're gonna go see it live. Well, be a part of it. We'll perform it live.
Live, people, live. Go see it live. EmCon.
Live.
East
Live.
Meadow Library. Go.
Library. April 26th, 1:30 p.m. Come down, see the performance, see the comic, buy the comic, enjoy the music, and walk away a winner. Like I mentioned, we're giving away free tickets to LITCG. And that's like $100 value right there. So your chance to come into a free convention, watch a great performance, which I've been told is great because I am not paying attention to anything around me except my job. So I don't know the response, which is weird.
That's funny.
Win some tickets, enjoy the stuff, get a free comic, come on down to the EmCon.
Take a
Yeah,
picture with Mark.
There you have it,
Selfies you got to pay for.
and
Selfies
as
you
far
gotta
as
pay.
you can talk about this right now. Go.
Yes, It Came From Radio is the official show of the Big Apple Con. We are, like I said, we just celebrated our 23rd anniversary this past February. We talk about movies, comics, entertainment, and stuff. We have many different segments. We have we're live on WGBB, Long Island's oldest radio station. That's 1240 AM and 95.9 FM. Also streaming on WGBB.com, I believe. And you can find us on new episodes are uploaded as archives every Monday. And we also have the 45 different podcast places as well. And every month at the East Middle Public Library, we do a live show on the second Wednesday of every month. And this next month will be, hold on, I have it written down right here. Where is it? Next month will be, where is it? I know I have it written down. Here it is. We'll be on May 14th, and we'll have a children's horror writer, Anastasia Garcia, as our guest. And we also should be giving away a free copy of her book, as well as we'll be giving away tickets to the Trek Long Island for free once again. Make sure you go to www.camefromradio.com.
Boom. All that stuff is in the comment section because I've been putting it all this time. So go check it out. All right, Mr. Kelly, tell the people where they can find all of you this weekend.
All right, so this weekend, EmCon, Anime Fest at the East Middle Public Library. This weekend celebration, you can find information on our website at www.eastmeadow.info, or follow us on our Facebook page and follow us and keep updated with new content and updated future events at Facebook. You can type in EmCon, EmCon, or just look up East Meadow. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm messing up here. It's late. All right, so it's EmCon, EMPL Anime Fest on Facebook. Or you can also go find me on Instagram, and that's Night and Day Anime. And you can also find me on Facebook as Mikhail Supreme. You can check out my artwork too, and follow both on. Matter of fact, just follow all the pages and go to our website at the East Middle Library, www.eastmiddle.info, and go to our event calendar. And you can register for these lovely programs that's happening this weekend. Reserve your spot so you don't have to be the last in line and miss out on the sweet goodness that we can offer.
And remember, folks, it's free.
And it's free.
Free.
So go to Long Island, have fun at the library, because it's all free.
It's free.
All right, Frank, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, I'm going to be at Screamverse in Roanoke, Virginia. Little bit far away, just a little bit. I'm going to be doing a seminar on writing as well there. If you're in the Virginia area, come check out the Dark Legend of the Foreigner book series about an ancient Japanese warrior that got frozen 400 years in feudal Japan, wakes up modern day New York. So obviously there's a few stories of those. There's 3 books, so I'll be selling them as packages. Gonna be, like I said, I'm gonna be on Sunday. I'm gonna be doing a seminar from 10:45 to 11:15 on the challenges of writing as an indie compared to being a published author, the ups and downs of writing, the challenges, which is, as we know, there are many, trying to get the word out there and stuff like that. So they're giving me a nice little platform. So it's definitely going to be an opportunity to be able to share the knowledge among, inspiring writers. So giving back, just like Kelly does, and like we all tried to do as well, trying to help inspiring new generations of writers. And hey, listen, maybe someone that comes and asks me questions or something like that. So, everybody's take is going to be different. No right or wrong way of proceeding on how to do something, but hey, listen, all the people that come and buy the books, I love talking to new people, get a guy, I can't talk, get ideas from, and maybe their creative juices are going to flow with reading the Dark Legend series. So, come out to Roanoke, Virginia for Screenverse, and you'll find me, I think, placed at the beginning when the con opened. So, it got a pretty solid spot. So, not complaining. So, check it out.
There you have it, folks. All these beautiful people, go check them out. All those links are in the comment section because I made it easier for you because I don't want to hear, Ralph, I'm lazy. I don't want to go into the comment section. Andrew's like, I hope you guys are doing great. And Angel started a whole little fight over here. He's like, Superman was trusted. We live in a world where they can't even trust Superman. Sad times. He said that Superman is a politician's wet dream. And Andrew's like, Angel is right. I'm going to leave you with that, and we're going to have Mark back so for our 10th anniversary shows, and he's going to be hanging out with us, and we'll probably be geeking out then too. And you might see Lee, you might see Kelly. Who knows? Who knows? You'll see. Any last words before we go, guys?
If you're in Virginia, go to Frank's convention. If you're in New York, go to Kelly's convention.
And folks, if you guys are in Brooklyn, go to Industry City.
Do it.
Bix. And tomorrow I'll have a special Bix show with a special guest star, Dirk Manning, who will be talking all about his new Kickstarter. All right, folks. Go to some cons this weekend. Come on.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll press the button and where it stops.